Whereas it is good to condole with families of deceased persons, it is always good and important that we also try not to distort history. History is important so that our children will not repeat the mistakes that their parents and others made. Whereas many will glorify Charles Njonjo as a hard-working Attorney General and a reformist. I don't want to be hypocritical, and I state this. Charles Njonjo did a lot of damage to this country when he was serving as Attorney General. One which is important, Charles Njonjo cannot be described as a reformist because he destroyed institutions. Charles Njonjo was against Africanization in every aspect. Particularly, he oppressed African lawyers, the black bar, frustrated African lawyers, and glorified Wazungus. The judiciary was the last to be Africanized. Charles Njonjo was opposed to everything African. That is why he himself, although not acceptable, he was a Briton according. He is only the blood that he regretted. In effect, at one time, he said he regrets why he was born a Kikuyu. So this is a man that I feel that there is a lot of hypocrisy when we say, oh, he was hardworking, he prayed this. To be able to associate to associate himself with those. Charles Njonjo used his office, right, to settle scores with many victims, many forthright people, and particularly those who are nationalists. Look, for example, Waruru Kanja was put in prison just because he had a few dollars in exchange control. He offended exchange control regulations then, but it was not justifiable for him to be put in prison. Achuru Kapila, the one who defended Jomo Kenyatta, again, with a few dollars from Churchill's, he was put in just because of a few dollars, maybe $100 or $200. Then Charles Njonjo cannot exonerate himself from the murder of Tomboya. Kenyans need to be told who the big man described by or mentioned by the convicted Njenga in the Tomboya murder. Many people think that the big man is Jomo Kenyatta. I am sorry, it is not Jomo Kenyatta. Charles Njonjo must be the man mentioned. The way that trial was handled, it was mishandled. It was orchestrated. It was just a play that was choreographed to fit in Jenga. Because after all, Kenyatta was not going to succeed himself. Who had the technology to tap landline, Tomboya's landline from Treasury to Chinese pharmacy? It must have been somebody who was in power and who was able. We didn't have the technology we have today. I wish people can remember that it is Charles Njonjo and Bruce Mackenzie who destroyed, who fractured important institution. Was an example in the world, the East African community, comprising then of Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and brought it down in 1976. He destroyed the economy of East Africa. We were only comparable to European Economic Community. We are trying to build, but we are far below the standards of what East Africa Community was. Even services like telecommunications, railways, all those were under the wing, the auspices of the East African community. We destroyed this. This is Charles Njonjo who did it. So there are many, many examples that I can give. The constitutional reform, he oppressed the constitutional reform. Of most important, he said in Parliament that he cannot shake the hand of Luos because Luos allegedly, according to him, every Luo was stricken with the cholera then. So there are many, many examples that I can give of him manipulating the Public Order Act. As a lawyer, he should have been forthright in opposing Public Order Act. He is the one who brought this. Whereas the whole world is against termination of life through hanging and other means, death penalty, he in effect, against Kenyatta's concern that robbery should not be criminalized to the extent of making it a capital offense. He did make it a capital offense. Charles Njonjo will set an example that with all the wealth, even at the end, the CMC saga did not come to the limelight, right? Because he was banished from holding any directorship in any public office because they took money to the areas, New Jersey and elsewhere, from CMC over invoicing. And this is one of the reasons why, in many years at Kenyatta, the Department of Defense was never audited. The audit was never brought to public eye because there is a common denominator, right? Him, Kereine, Moi, every institution that any one of them had director, there is a common denominator. If you go to CMC, you find Kereine, you find Njonjo, you find Moi, through Kulei and others. Then if you go to Bushkovik Airline, which was again involved in the attempted coup of Shishirais, directly involved, they are the shareholders with Mackenzie, Bruce Mackenzie. God gave him that long life to give him opportunity to repent and confess some of these sins that he committed. So I mourn him as any other person would, but death is only God who has right to terminate life.